A lot of UF fans have very strong opinions about what should, what will, and what has happened with the changes made to the coaching staff in the offseason. UF is coming off back to back to back losing seasons for the first time in most of our lives. Have the changes that they've made to the staff been enough to right the ship? Let's talk about it. Okay, so January 31st has come and gone. That was a date that a lot of us had circled on our calendar because multiple staff members, including both O-line coaches, had contracts that expired on January 31st. We have not been told about any further changes to the staff from UF, right? Despite there being some whispers of it. We have heard this offseason that there was a great chance that one or both of our offensive line coaches may potentially pursue other opportunities. We've been told that Florida may, and it still may, get an offensive coordinator. There's been lots of rumors and whispers, but all we know for sure is January 31st have come and gone. UF has announced nothing. And the coaches whose contracts were set to expire on January 31st have been recruiting since then. Since we all know nobody works for free, my assumption is all of those people have been renewed in some capacity. Now, changes could have been named in title, job description, and even whether or not they are on the field, right? But I don't think that anybody's been let go. But UF hasn't confirmed it either way. I have heard that there is a chance, now we'll see when these contracts get released, which, at some point that will happen, but UF is keeping us in the dark for the moment. I have heard that there is a chance that one of our O-line coaches may move to an off-the-field position. If that happens, I think it opens the door for an offensive coordinator, which is another thing that we've heard whispers of all offseason. I have been told from multiple sources that Billy Napier was actively looking for an offensive coordinator. Now, I know that his list of qualifications and the description of the type of coach that the guy is, the system he likes to run, and everything else is long. So there may not be somebody currently interested in coming to UF that checks all of those boxes. So maybe that changes whether or not UF has an offensive coordinator next year. But I have been told that Napier was actively looking for one, and that would require some sort of offensive staff shakeup because of the number of on-the-field coaches UF has, because we employ 2 offensive line coaches. So let's talk about this a little bit. I asked you guys, UF fans, what you thought about this on Twitter. There's mixed thoughts. And I asked you guys to tell me good, bad, ugly, indifferent. Where do you stand on this? Do you think it was enough changes to the staff? Do you think it was too much? Do you think that they were just right? Like, where are you on this? Here we go. Okay. I like all the changes. Not hiring an OC should be okay, but the O-line coaches need to change. Florida's O-line was a problem, just like special teams. Don't disagree. Next one. He needs an on-the-field special teams coach, continuity in the O-line coaching, and an offensive assistant in the upstairs coach's box to give him input on play calls. Okay, so I'll address this for a second before I move on. I don't think you need an on-the-field special teams coach. The guy that he hired can still very well stand on the field. On the field means you're one of the 9 headsets that are down there. And I think it's possible to coach special teams without that headset on. I also think it's very rare for them to be a solely dedicated special teams coach that is also an on-the-field position. Generally, if you're an on-the-field position, it's because you also have another responsibility, whether it be wide receivers or you're the head coach or you're the O-line coach or whatever. So I don't think that that's overly odd. And I do think the hire at least shows that we understand that it's a concern, which there was parts of the season that I didn't think he understood that it was a concern. So I think that's progress. All right, next tweet. Honestly, for the most part, not impressed. We still have 2 O-line coaches who can't coach or recruit. We still don't have an on-the-field special teams coach. We did nothing to improve a mediocre offense. Billy's hires so far haven't exactly set the world on fire, i.e. Austin Armstrong. Next tweet, Billy clearly knew that changes needed to be made, and he made a lot of them. Tough ones where he fired friends. Tells me he is 100% dedicated to seeing UF win. Thus, if no more changes are made, it can only be because Billy 100% thinks he can win as is. Otherwise, he'd have made the changes. Unlike past coaches, I know Billy puts UF ahead of his personal relationships. So, right or wrong, at least I know he's doing everything he's doing with the right intentions. If Russ Callaway ends up being a de facto OC and helping take the load off Billy, I think we're good. Okay. I think there's a lot of good points in that tweet. I'll push back a little bit. I don't know what friends he fired, right? We fired Corey Raymond. I don't think that Corey Raymond was necessarily a personal friend of Billy Napier's. I think, in the flip side of that, Hawk wasn't fired. He was just kind of relocated to somewhere else in the building. We're still paying $750,000 for his salary, which it is my understanding that a large part of that is the UAA, but it's still a friend hanging around. Couch, still hanging around somewhere. That's a friend. So I don't know that I agree with the statement that he will make the hard decisions and fire his friends, because I don't know where we point to that has happened. However, I do 100% agree with a couple of things in this tweet. One, I think he is 100% dedicated to seeing UF win. I don't think that we've ever had a head coach that doesn't want UF to win. I don't believe that there's anybody outside of the building that wants to win more than the people in the building. And I feel like I've been very consistent about that. Now, can we all have different opinions on what we think it'll take for UF to get there and win? 100%. Absolutely. And that's what you're entitled to as fans and as supporters of the program. But nobody in that building wants to win less than the people outside of that building. I also think that Billy 100% thinks he can win with the changes that he's made. I agree with that statement, that he believes that. Now, do I believe that, or do you as the fans believe that? I don't know. But it's Billy's contract. It's Billy's team. It's Billy's reputation. It's Billy's career. So I do, from his standpoint, understand the concept of him being the one to make the final decisions. He's the one that has to live and die by them, right? And, as far as an OC goes, I think it's a very difficult position for Billy Napier to be in, because he knows that seat is hot. He knows he needs to win some games in 2024 to see 2025. So, one, do you put that into the hands of someone who isn't you? That's a hard decision. Or, two, do you say, okay, well, if it's this year or bust, I'm counting on me. I'm the person who has gotten myself to this point in my career. I know offense. I know ball. I'm the one who is going to live or die by my own choices. I can see that argument as well, even though I do think an offensive coordinator would help alleviate a little bit of, the laundry list of things that Billy Napier has to do. So, Gator Nation is kind of all over the place, right? On where they stand on this. I think that some changes were made. Those changes were good. Some changes, like Bateman, were made because our hand was forced, and that's not anything that UF, has any control over, right? When somebody gets an opportunity to advance their career, they're going to take it. And, there's nothing that we can do about that. But I like the replacements that have been brought in so far. I think that the strength and conditioning program is headed in the right direction. I really wish this change had been made a year ago, when some of us started saying that it was something that we could see needed to improve. But I think we're there now. And, that's a good thing. I hope this new staff really, really works out in the weight room, because that is the single most important change that could have been made this offseason. Your strength and conditioning coach is the captain of your ship for close to 7 months. Whether you win between August and December is created between January and the beginning of August. That will to win, that effort, that strength, all of that comes from the off season. It is not something that can be fixed mid-year. So hopefully it's been fixed now. Hopefully these players are going to see a lot of growth. I think getting these 2024 recruits in are going to be huge. There is some really talented players, but also really strong leadership coming in 2024. And I think that is huge. Interested to see what UF does in the transfer portal after spring closes. I think we do still need a couple of pieces to the puzzle. But, for the most part, I think the staff is pretty settled. Like I said at the beginning of this video, the only changes that I could see potentially happening is if UF still is out there looking for the perfect fit at OC. That would require one of our offensive line coaches to either A, move off field, which is something that we've heard is a possibility, or B, move on to a different opportunity, which is another thing that I've heard. We have somebody who has NFL interest. So the NFL has interest in him. So maybe that happens and that's what opens the spot for the OC. But I can't imagine that there's too much shakeup left to happen in college football. So if you are getting an OC, are you convincing somebody to leave from another college? I don't know. Maybe that means that there's an NFL guy out there that could be making the jump, but you would think the talent pool is getting smaller and smaller at this point, and spring ball is on the horizon. That will start in, another month, 6 weeks. So if changes happen, there's not going to be anything major outside of, like I said, the potential OC hire. And now we're in a wait and see mode, right? I think that Gator fans are going to be excited for spring ball. I think we'll be able to see some changes when spring happens. But I think for the most part, we're in a holding pattern until August, and we're going to get to see if these changes were the difference maker. But I will tip my hat to Billy Napier because he did recognize that there were some things that they really could do differently. And he did go out and make some hires. And ultimately, what I think doesn't matter. Napier knows this season is everything for him and his time at UF. If he's confident he can get it done with who he has on this staff, then let's ride, right? Don't think UF cares what the fans think. I just don't. I think that they believe in Napier, and Napier believes he is doing what he thinks is best for this team to win. Is this what's best for UF to win? I don't know. I don't know that I think so, but I do believe that Billy Napier is making a heck of a lot more money than I am to make these tough decisions. So I kind of have to defer to him at this point. But I hope these changes are enough. I want these changes to be enough. I always want UF and whoever the head man is to succeed. That is, that's the crux of being a Gator fan, right? We want to see our teams, our coaches, our players, our people to succeed. All right, so what are you guys' thoughts? Let's talk about it down below in the comments. I appreciate y'all for tuning in today. And as always, go Gators.